All right, everybody, day 4, a little bit more of an active recovery day. You're just gonna go for like a max set of an anchored sit-up. Feet are gonna be locked in underneath 2 dumbbells. Dumbbell's gonna be up on the chest towards the chin. Keep your elbows up. I don't like when anybody pulls the dumbbell out in front of your body. That adds to momentum and actually makes it more advantageous, easier for your abs and for you. So make sure you keep it high, keep it close to your body in contact. Shoulders all the way to ground, super full control. Keep tension on your legs the entire time on the weight, on the anchor that you have on the ground. Okay, you do 5 of those. When you find your heaviest 5 rep, which is something around 9 RPE, so exertion is high on this one. Rest a little bit, and then you do it a 5-minute EMOM, so 5 sets every minute for 3 reps at that exact same weight. Okay, so you do 60% of what you just did of the 5 rep heavy. You do that for 15 more reps. Okay, then you're gonna do 50 to 100 Cobra press ups. Okay, throughout the range today. It's not just all at once. This is extremely important. After as many hip flexor and hip flexion movements that we have done over the previous 3 or 4 days now, you have to open up your hips. You have to make sure your low back is pressing to extension and getting that. Okay, so slow down, take your time, press all the way through these. There's many different ways to do these for the forearms. You can also add a band to your low back. Okay, press ups, spend your time to do them. If you have any low back pain or your hip flexors are tight, or just know you're one of those people that sit a lot during the day, you have to do the higher range of this one. Okay, this is not one of those ones where you slowly start lower and work your way up. I won't even stop at 100. I'll keep doing more. It's something I do every single day, all the time. Cobra press ups are huge. Should be pretty quick today. You can break it up throughout the day. Good luck. I'll see you on day 5. All right, day number 4. Getting heavy and then a little active recovery throughout the day with the Cobra press ups. As I kind of warm up here, getting into it, I like to get the weight set. I believe I have 50s out for these anchors today. Warming up and going through. Make sure the feet are nice and tight underneath there, fairly snug, because you really want to be able to pull with that whole hip flexor and the lower core on these. Biggest part of this is to actually have the weights to anchor you down. You could always use a barbell, squat rack, really any kind of weight, sandbag, maybe even a car tire, things like that, to weight the feet down. That way you get a little bit more strain on the core. Imagine like trying to do like a belted deadlift or something from like a dead stop or things like that. It adds a little bit more benefit with that, able to go a little bit heavier than you typically would without kind of that extra bracing or extra support coming from the feet in this case. Warming up through, did a couple reps with just body weight, just kind of feel it out, feel the position. Sometimes you may have to angle or move the dumbbells depending on your hip or just your more comfortable position where you like to put your feet. Then I start adding weight. Notice how when I get this one, I really try and anchor this thing up close to my chest, much like in a front rack position, trying to keep the elbows high. So this isn't something that's adding momentum as I work through these reps. So it's something that I really try and keep tight on the chest up to the top. I like to throw in a couple press ups as you go between, loosen up the core, especially that lower back and those hip flexors throughout the day. This is something I do part of my program no matter what. It's not just on one specific day. This is something I add in every single day due to the back inflexibility and things like that. So this is something that should be common practice for all of you guys as we work through this, and something you should really maintain and continue after this program and during this program throughout the day. So for me, the weight jumps that I'm choosing, I started with a 35. I'm going to go grab a 60-pound dumbbell. Pretty standard jumps for me, something that I feel pretty comfortable with. If you've never done this before, take it slow. Maybe you're only taking 5 to 10-pound jumps each time. Starting off with something you can do. If you've never done these before, start off with a simple 5 or 10-pound dumbbell and work your way up from there, because it's a very different movement, especially with adding the weight and not letting it help and aid in that momentum. When a lot of people do these, they bring the dumbbell up overhead and they swing it forward, or they're kind of pressing the weight up in front of you to give you a little bit, make it more advantageous, and honestly just making it easier on your abs. So this one you really want to keep tight and up towards the top of the body and the torso when we do this one, to really kind of isolate that whole core. This is that big part which really going to help you add a little bit of depth and thickness to your abs, so you're actually getting those, the depth, and actually getting that concavity and getting some shadows and things like that as you start to get a little bit more definition in each one of these. Especially when you have a pretty good diet, your core is going to be super flat, you have a nice washboard stomach, but when you want to actually get more of that depth, kind of get a little bit more, maybe you're working ready for a stage, maybe you're just trying to get ready for the beach, whatever your goals might be, trying to get a little bit more volume to those core muscles, getting some thickness to those abs, really going to make that pop a little bit more. All right, here you go. Here's my max for the day. Our dumbbells only have 100-pound Our gym only has 100-pound dumbbells, so this is the heaviest one I'm going to be using today as we work through. To make it a little bit heavier, maybe if you don't have enough weight, maybe you only have 35s, 40s at the house, whatever it might be, you can always add bands back behind you and a couple dumbbells to kind of add some tension across the chest. You can grab two, one on each shoulder. Again, just make sure it's staying tight to you and not getting super out in front of that body as it works through. So 100 for 5. I'm going to rest a little bit here, do a couple more press ups, and then I will go to my EMOM where I'll do 3 reps every minute for the next 5 minutes, getting my 15 total for this one. Good thing, make note of this depending on how you feel, how it works. Later on, we'll just add rep weight or reps to this EMOM and continue it, trying to get a little bit more volume at these heavier weights, adding more and more as we go. All right, here's the start of that EMOM. I'm getting set up. Biggest part of this one is to make sure that you are keeping that dumbbell close to the chest and getting that full range of motion, pulling all the way through the feet each time. It's not going to be a super strenuous EMOM just because you have a lot of rest time. But this is something that is very, very potent. Think about like if you're doing a heavy set of back squats, you're going to have a lot of rest time. Same thing with bench press. It's not something you go back and forth with. But it is very, very advantageous to the programming to add some strength. So if you can move a 70-pound dumbbell, a little bit easier, a little bit faster than when you go to those 30-pound dumbbells or even go into body weight, you're going to be able to do more reps faster and get more out of it, therefore more volume in those AMRAPs and those EMOMs, things like that as we go through and getting a little bit more work. Rather than just thinking about trying to get more endurance, you want a little bit more strength so that you can last longer at moving these weights. Round number 2, notice how I'm still trying to keep the hands all the way up to the knees, trying to keep that body nice and tight, chest up tall, so it's not trying to round too much forward and keeping all that tension. All right, on this one, I'm going to go and rest in the Sphinx pose, or you can always rest in that Cobra pose. Good weight on this EMOMs, just kind of work in a lot of your press ups today to keep everything nice and fluid and nice and relaxed as we work through these reps as they tighten up, and especially throughout the day going through those. This is a big thing I really like to focus on, trying to loosen up the core, hip flexors, and lower abs, so that way I get more engagement. And honestly, my lower back feels better. So trying to make sure that I get a little more efficiency in my workout, so I'm not worried about trying to do too much. So it's a pretty short day today. You can really sandwich this in really about 10 minutes or less if you're short on time. So this is something you want to continue to do each and every single day and not miss any best you can, so that you're constantly growing and working towards your goals here. Round number 4. Weight starting to get a little bit heavier, getting to the top end of these sets, getting to the top end of just the volume and the capacity to work through. If you are feeling pretty good at this point in time, just make note of it. Don't necessarily change your weight, because what you're going to do is try and grow and work up. So the point of these EMOMs are not to get heavier as you go. You want to stay at a heavy weight consistently throughout. That way we add volume to those repetitions. Finishing up this EMOM, this is the last round. If you're feeling really good at this point in time, great, awesome. Picked a decent weight that you can finish with. Make note of the weight that you did, how you felt, maybe how easy it was effort-wise. That way you can kind of get a little bit heavier throughout the next couple of weeks. So good work, everybody. Last closing words. All right, day 4 done. Pretty much active recovery day. Took me less than 8 minutes. I did my press-ups while I did my EMOM. As you guys can see here, one little tidbit is that I think a lot of people miss when it comes to core is that they'll do 100 sit-ups, 200 sit-ups, 1,000 sit-ups, whatever, but they don't train for strength. Okay, think about any kind of like bodybuilder, power lifter, strongman, huge bulky dudes that put on size and mass, right? They're moving large amounts of weights for lower reps at a high intensity, right? So it's basically what we did today. That is what I think a lot of people miss, is that they'll do thousands of reps of something hoping to tone and get in shape. Well, they just have this flat stomach, but they don't get that like ab look, right? You want to actually get a little bit of thickness to those abs so you get depth, and it actually gives you like that effect that you have a little bit more washboard look, right? So you actually have like the individual abs showing. So heavy weights, you'll see that, especially with a lot of like these core movements. We'll start doing like some weighted med ball, GHD sit-ups, stuff like that later on in the program. But it's a big part of actually doing that, adding some weight and not just doing more reps. More reps is not always the answer, right? Quality over quantity. That's what this whole program's about.